The themes surrounding the short film are never give up because the man keeps throwing the paper airplanes at the woman's window even though he keeps missing. Eventually, he starts to slow down and stops throwing the paper airplanes. Then fate brings the two together, another theme. One of the themes of Paperman are the red lips. They reveal the importance of the woman character. They represent the color in the man's life before he met the woman. He was living a lonely life, and the film represented the personality through all the black and white scenes. Finally, after meeting the woman, she brought something different into the man's life. The paper airplanes resemble the theme of never to give up. The light represents hope. When the man is just about to give up, the light shines on the airplane and the man and woman are reunited. The train takes people to their destinations, or where they're supposed to be. The train resembles the theme of fate throughout the film. The window is when the man is throwing paper out of, and it represents an opportunity to see her, especially when she's in the building. These symbols connect back to our themes, fate, and to never give up.
Some traits of the main character include a shy attitude. The main character is lonely, emotional, overworked, and a little gloomy and dull at times. The author reveals these traits through the main character's body language. These traits are also revealed based on the interactions with other characters in the short film. The music and setting of scenes expresses the character's emotions. This also helps the readers understand the traits of the main character. When analyzing a short film, it's important to understand the characters and their traits. These are some of the things we learned about the character and his traits. We learned that the main character is introverted and shy because he doesn't seem like he wants to talk to other people, and he just looks at the ground instead of at everyone else at the busy subway station. The main character also looks a little glum and dull because he is carrying a load of papers for work and with a frown on his face. We can learn that he has a tough job that requires a lot of work. We first see a lady come into the film and she laughs at his actions and smiles at him, so we learn that he's probably an awkward, kind, funny, and likable guy. Then we see his colleagues and boss look at him with disapproving faces. We learn that maybe he has gotten in trouble with his boss before, and his fellow employees are probably annoyed with him. We can infer that the main character is optimistic and determined because no matter how many times he failed, he hopes that one of his paper airplanes makes it to her window. When his airplanes never get to her, we see him sort of give up and become sad again. We can infer that his life is boring and he doesn't talk to girls very often.
The first interaction that we see between characters are between the male and the female, waiting at this train station for their train. The wind blows and the papers in the male's arms fly onto the girl's face. She takes it off and laughs and brushes it off easily, and we can tell that she has a good sense of humor and she's easygoing. The man seems kind of awkward as he takes the paper she hands him back and laughs. He looks like he doesn't know what to say. Next, we see that the co-workers don't really like our main character because they don't allow him to use their paper for his airplanes once he runs out, and they give him dirty looks as he's making paper airplanes and after he gets yelled at by his boss. Finally, we see an interaction between the boss and the main character when he comes into work after the incident at the train station. The boss can tell that he's easily distracted when all he wants to do is throw paper airplanes out the window to the skyscraper next to them. The boss seems very angry and he just wants him to get back to work.
Analyzing the character interactions in this short film help us understand the different personalities of each character. For example, the character interaction between the girl and the main character helped us understand the attitude of the main character as well as the girl. We understood that the main character was very shy, introverted. However, we also found out that the girl was very outgoing. We see two types of conflicts in the short film, Paperman: man versus man and man versus self. Man versus man is seen between the main character and the boss. Both the characters have different ideas of what each of them should be doing. The boss expects his employee to be working for him. However, the main character, as the employee, is determined to meet the girl of his dreams. This causes conflict and tension between the two characters. Another conflict is man versus self. The main character that we have analyzed through the short film is described as shy and introverted. This is also seen in the conflicts and the debates he has within himself throughout the short film. For example, the main character is determined to meet the girl of his dreams. However, something stops him from doing so throughout the whole day. During the short film, one scene showed that the man was eager to go and see the girl as she was walking outside the building. However, the conflict between himself delays him from doing so. Therefore, as a result, he doesn't end up seeing her. Along with character conflict and character development, imagery is also a very important thing in the short film Paperman. In an interview with the director of Paperman, John Cars, he explained that the film Paperman was taken in black and white, particularly for it to stand out as one of Pixar's short films. However, viewers responded to this very differently. John Cars then responded back saying that Paperman's settings, along with the imagery around it with the black and white scenes, was to represent the attitude and the emotion going on between the characters so that the audience could also connect back to every single moment that was expressed in this short film. John Card, the director of Paperman, also agreed that along with the setting of the short film, the camera angles were just as important. He stated that as he was directing, he made sure that every camera angle represented the attitude but also the intensity of each scene. For example, the intensity grew at the end of the film where all the paper airplanes formed together and led the man back up to his dream girl. John Carr said that those camera angles were one of the toughest in the whole short film because he wanted to make sure that the audience would actually understand the hope and the actual destination that these two characters were getting into by the end of the short film to actually express the moral that the film was meant to be made for. The short film Paperman had many symbols, but it also had many archetypes. One of the classic archetypes is the idea of star-crossed lovers. In this short film, love is the main idea, along with the two characters who represent these lovers. Another archetype is seen from the color red. The only color in this whole short film was red, and this was from the woman's lipstick. After analyzing and researching, we found that red represents love, sacrifice, hate, evil, anger, violent passion, sin, blood, or disorder. Particularly in this film, red means love. The archetype for the color red is seen through the actual story and plot line throughout this short film, which also ties back with the archetype of star-crossed lovers. Here are some interesting facts about the short film Paperman. The short film Paperman doesn't have any voices. All of it is based on the scenes and actions of each character. However, there were some allusions that our group was able to analyze. For example, we made a connection to David and Goliath, the Bible story, because of the boss and the main character, as someone big and as someone small. However, the small character actually came out on top doing what he thought was best. Finally, through the psychoanalytical lens, our group was able to identify the characters as superego, ego, or id. We labeled the boss as id because he overpiles the man with work and is always very frustrated about having things his way. The woman in the beginning of the story represented ego because she was balanced from what she wanted but also what she needed to do. And we put her as ego for the beginning and middle. However, at the end, she became super ego as she met the guy. The main character was labeled super ego from beginning to end because he was always eager to follow his conscience, and he remains super ego around whenever he's around the women. In conclusion, the main question still remains, why does this all matter? In any short film, any movie, or any book, the author always tries to convey a theme or moral throughout the whole entire story. For example, the theme that the author was trying to convey in the short film Paperman was to never give up and stop at nothing to get what you want and what you truly desire. Throughout the short film, through all this analysis, from allusions to imagery, the main theme is seen from how the characters developed around the actual sole purpose of the theme, also how the character interactions and conflicts were developed based on how the theme was portraying every attitude of the character. At the end, all of this matters because in every film, short film, or book, it's always important to understand the moral or understand what the author was actually trying to convey. This short film mattered to our group because it taught us an important lesson in life. And this isn't just in a scenario of love, but it's also in a scenario of work, family, and just personal interest. This lesson can be taught and applied throughout our lives, and it's very important for it to be brought up in simple things that we see around our world every single day. We thought that the Paperman was a classic film that showed the simplicity of a man's life, but also showed the complexity of relationships that we need to create in life and how we need to keep them to actually help us in life.